Hello, welcome to Woodworking for Miniaturists. My name is David Knight, and today we're going to talk some more about hand tools, including chisels, planes, and files. Let's begin with chisels. Chisels are very basic and ancient tools. The stonework of the pyramids and all other ancient architecture and sculptures were done with a hammer and a chisel. There are chisels for cutting stone, metal, and wood. Most cutting tools are some version of a chisel. Planes are chisels mounted in a block that controls the cut. Saw blades are long rows of tiny chisels. If you know how to work with a chisel, you are a woodworker. Woodworking chisels have certain relevant characteristics. They are square in profile, and they end in a bevel that produces a sharp edge. The back of a chisel, the part opposite the bevel, needs to be perfectly flat to ensure that the cut ends up being flat. Like the top of our workbench, the top of our table saw, and the base of a plane, the back of a chisel is a reference surface. To produce flat, straight results, it must itself be flat and straight. The sharpened edge should be square across the chisel blade to make square cuts. The maintenance of these conditions is a product of skillful sharpening practices. I keep a few smaller chisels from my big boy shop in my miniature kit and often find them useful. Pictured here are a 1/2 inch, a 3/8 inch, and a 1/8 inch chisel. There are two major kinds of traditional wood chisels: bench chisels, roughly like the ones you see here, with bevels on the top and sharpened to an angle around 25 degrees, and mortising chisels, which are more stout, square in cross-section, and are sharpened to a less acute angle around 30 degrees or more. Chisels should be sturdy. If sharp, they can be pushed through wood by hand if you don't try to take too much wood off at once. But often they have to be driven through the wood with a mallet, especially to produce certain kinds of cuts, and they need to be strong to withstand such hammering. The Stanley 3/8 inch chisel in the center of the picture has its tang, the end of the steel opposite the cutting edge, embedded in a resin handle. I've had that chisel for a long time, and it has proven durable. Generally speaking, the chisel sets sold at hardware stores are not the best quality steel. I have a set of hardware store chisels, but I can't keep them sharp. The Marples chisels are English made, and they are made of excellent tool steel. They come from a set that are the workhorses of the big boy shop, and they sharpen up like a dream. Notice that the two Marples chisels have a rather wide cone-shaped cup on the opposite end from the edge. The wooden handle gets jammed tighter into that cone with each mallet blow. Rather than loosening with use, it gets tighter as it is used. Those wooden handles have withstood many mighty blows from my mallet. They are made of very hard and tough boxwood. It is worth noting that the Japanese, once again, make an excellent variation on chisels. Really good Japanese chisels are made of two kinds of steel laminated together to form a strong body and a hard, durable edge. Strength and hardness are not the same thing. I haven't used Japanese chisels, but they might be worth looking into. Tiny chisels are available for miniature work. A set of small carving tools will usually include one or more styles and widths of chisel. Micromark sells a carving set called their titanium tools, touted as high quality, and they are excellent in most regards, but they may have a serious flaw. The set has high-grade steel blades, crimped into metal handles. The tangs, the back end of the blade part, do not go all the way to the back of the hole, bored in the middle of the handle. While I was pushing a chisel into soft wood by hand, the blade came loose when the crimped attachment failed to hold, and the tang pushed back into the hollow space in the handle. Sold as a premium product, these tools have a flaw in their design. I wrote to Micromark about it and never got a response. I was able to repair the chisel by pulling the blade out of the handle and placing a short length of steel rod in the hole in the handle behind the tang so it can no longer push back into the handle. Time will tell if it will hold. I found another set of carving tools which are all one piece of steel from the cutting edge to the butt. The butt end is clearly designed to take a hammer blow. I don't yet know if the steel edge is of the same high quality as the Micromark chisels. I will need to see how well it sharpens and holds an edge. This set also includes a few chisels, but they don't include sizes as small as the titanium set. Chisels come in different widths and at least 3 different configurations or shapes, each useful in different situations. Pictured here are a straight chisel, best for the kind of chopping action used to cut a square hole for a mortise. A skewed chisel, best for shaving off a thin layer of wood. And a cranked chisel for reaching into tight spots such as narrow grooves or dados. Carving sets have tools similar to chisels, but with different purposes, producing different kinds of cuts. Pictured here are a straight knife, shaped much like an X-Acto number 11, a curved knife, and a gouge for scooping out concave shapes, and a vernier or V-tool used to cut V-shaped grooves. Along with some practice and training, tools like these, of different sizes and shapes, are all that you need to carve any shape you desire. Next, let's talk about planes. Planes used to be one of the most important tools in the woodworker's kit in the times before power tools. They are icons of handwork, the image that serves as a symbol of hand woodworking. I have dozens of them in the big boy shop: wooden planes, steel planes, bronze planes, jack planes, jointer planes, fore planes, scrub planes, bull-nosed planes, molding planes, rabbet planes, scraper planes, spoke shaves, hand routers, a draw knife, and a scorp. They are one of the most satisfying tools to use. If properly sharpened and tuned, they allow you to take a thin, even slice from the entire length of a board with a quiet, distinct shh sound. You can see, feel, hear, and smell from the experience that you have made a perfect surface through your own skill, careful work, and a good tool in fine fettle. Yeah, I did say smell. Different woods have different smells when freshly cut. Try pine, oak, and walnut. Each has a very distinct smell. There's only one kind of plane that comes from the typical full-scale shop or tool store, which is anywhere near small enough to be useful in the miniature shop. That is a block plane, It is about 7 inches long and fully adjustable. It holds its blade at a much lower angle than most planes, which makes it ideal for trimming end grain. In the realm of full-sized woodworking, the block plane is not just a small version of a plane, it's more of a specialty tool. But for miniature work, it's a manageable size and it can be useful. If you have one or find one for cheap, add it to your kit, but you would be better off finding even smaller, high-quality planes designed specifically for miniature work. Some time ago, I looked into one of my favorite tools in an antique store. It was the small black plane in the lower left corner of the photo. It is 3.5 inches long and 1 3/8 inches wide. Easy to hold in one hand. It was complete and without damage. I was able to completely refurbish it so that it worked as it was meant to. I flattened the sole and the back of the blade, and sharpened the blade and then set the blade carefully. As I was writing this script, I took a break and ran the plane down the edge of a small pine board. The shaving that came off the plane did not register any thickness on my dial caliper. In other words, it was less than 1/100th of an inch. I could read the words on my computer screen through the shaving. This may not mean much to you, but what I just described is the epitome of success and satisfaction in the realm of plane fettling. It's a perfect bowling game, a hole-in-one, a grand slam home run, and I found it in a junk store. It has no markings, no brand name, no model number, but it is my best plane for the miniature world. The 3 planes on the right side of the picture are new products, consisting of a block plane, a bullnose plane, and a scraper plane. These don't carry a brand name, and I don't recall now where I got them. They are beautiful little instruments made of rosewood and brass. They are adjustable, and they can be fettled to work quite well. I found an identical set on eBay listed for $38, which I would regard as fair. The block plane is a general-purpose plane. The bullnose has its blade mounted at the very front, so it is able to cut right up to any obstruction. I have found this useful a few times. The scraper plane produces a smooth surface, not by shaving off a thin slice, but rather by scraping the sharp edge of a blade across the surface at nearly a 90-degree angle. This technique can produce a smooth, straight surface even if the wood has a wild grain pattern susceptible to tear out. There'll be more about scrapers anon. The silver item in the upper left corner is called a hand router, as opposed to a power router. It is a distant relative of the planes. It cleans out a groove, such as a dado, to a predetermined depth. Admittedly, this is only an occasional need in my miniature work, but when I did need it, it was perfect for the job. Don't run out and buy one, but if you find one in a junk store for cheap, you might add it to your kit. This one was made by Stanley in England, a mark of quality in old planes. Another plane relative that you might find useful is a spoke shave. It is a very frequently used tool in the full-size shop and performs a number of techniques, trimming edges, shaping shafts that are part of miniature work. Veritas makes a miniature version, but it may be hard to handle since usually you have to use a spoke shave with both hands. Files and rasps are our next topic. These tools are great for removing material of any kind, metal as well as wood. Files are very hard steel abraders with fine teeth. Those fine teeth tend to clog up when used with wood. They work best on metal. Rasps have larger teeth and work better on wood. Pictured here are several small files and rasps borrowed from the big boy shop. Files often have odd names. Starting at the top, we have a round, coarse, rat-tail rasp. Next we have a finer rasp that is flat on one side and rounded on the other, a particularly useful setup. Next we have a flat or bastard file. That term is used to refer to how the teeth are cut. We have a small triangular file for sharpening saws, and a round file originally intended for sharpening a chainsaw, but useful when you want to make a round shape. A city slicker walks into a country hardware store asking for a file. The proprietor takes them to the tool section, points to a file, and says, "How about this flat bastard?" The city boy says, "No, I think I'll take that round son of a bitch." Probably the most useful single type of file or rasp that you can get is a 4-in-hand. This is a single piece of steel, curved on one side and flat on the other, with coarse teeth on both sides of one end and finer teeth on both sides of the other end. It is, in effect, 4 rasps in one. Very small files and rasps, sometimes called needle files, are very useful, and I recommend that you get a set for your beginner's kit. Pictured here are a set of 6 different shapes with built-in handles. There is also a more varied set with some curved files called riffler files that are held in the chuck of the blue handle shown here. The files can be stowed away in the handle. Files can correct miscuts. They can be used as carving tools. They can do the job of sandpaper in tight spots. They can turn a beveled edge into a rounded edge. We'll be seeing how these tools are used as we assemble some projects. A stiff brush or a small wire brush can be used to clear clogged file teeth. File and rasp teeth cannot be sharpened. When they eventually get dull, they just have to be replaced. When used on wood, they do not get dull very quickly. There is one more episode in this series on hand tools, in which I'll cover a variety of things such as clamps and drills. So that's it for today. Like me and subscribe so we can get this thing up and running steadily. Ask me any questions and I will do my best to answer them. I hope you all had a great holiday, and we'll see you next time.